So rent-to-rent HMO serviced accommodation, people get quite confused because they're suggesting that people are temporary residents and so they're not bound by the same legislation. That's kind of true, but kind of not true at the same time. So the property may not be an HMO for the purposes of the Housing Act 2004 if the people who are living there are not living there as their main home. But you should bear in mind that if they're there as students or they're migrant workers coming from another EU country to exercise their right to work in the UK, it is their home, regardless of how long a time they're spending there. So you would have to show that they weren't from those locations or were holiday makers or something like that. But if people are living somewhere as a guest with full service provision, then it is a hotel. You can call it serviced accommodation if you want to, but it's a hotel. And for the purposes of fire safety standards, it will be treated as a hotel, and the standards that are required are much higher, unsurprisingly, for hotels and guest houses than they are for individual residential properties, even residential properties that are HMOs. So the standards that are required are much more along the lines of dedicated fire alarm systems, i.e. not stuff sitting off the lighting circuit like in most residential properties, entirely dedicated circuits with separate control panels, alarm call points, which you would never find in an ordinary residential property, much better fireproofing between rooms, and certainly automatic door closers and strong fireproofing between rooms. Fire extinguishers, fire blankets, ability to fight fire yourself and things like that, and a whole suite of extra stuff that you're just not going to find in relation to ordinary residential property. So to say that someone, because they're guests, it's not an HMO, so that makes it easier is true in the sense that it's not an HMO, but it's not true in the sense that actually the standards are much higher anyway. And that's leaving aside the suite of other difficulties you'll find around planning permission and using a property that's not actually authorised for a business purpose.